What would you do if you found out you had a condition that meant you couldn't stop growing?
It's like I woke up one day and was Godzilla.
How would you react if one morning you didn't recognize yourself in the mirror?
Nobody's protected. They literally just wake up and they have the condition.
I have not felt normal in so long.
How would you cope with a condition that could change your life beyond recognition?
The world is just a very uncomfortable place for someone my size.
How could something change someone so fast?
Igor lives in Rochester, Minnesota. "27-year-old Igor suffers from acromegalic gigantism, and at 7 feet 8 inches, he towers over his mum, who he lives with.
Making coffee for breakfast?
Yeah, I'm making coffee for you. So when are you leaving?
Symptoms of gigantism include rapid upward growth.
Being tall makes the world very annoying. Every structure that I go into is too small, too short. I end up hitting my head on all the exit signs. The world is just a very uncomfortable place for someone my size.
Igor was born in the Ukraine, and his size became a problem from a very early age.
When Igor was born, he was growing too fast. At the age 4, 5, 6 months, he already was size of 1-year-old kid. Usually when kids are born, and if they are big size born, in my home country, actually people are happy. But when he was 6 months old and weighed 13 kilos, I thought it's a little too heavy, it's a little too big, and I went to see doctors, and the first time it was said to me that he has gigantism when he was 6 months old.
Gigantism is caused by a tumor on the pituitary gland inside the brain. This tumor produces an excess of growth hormone, which is pumped into the body. If a person suffers the brain tumor before the end of puberty, then the condition is called acromegalic gigantism and results in the patient growing to massive heights, like Igor. But if a person develops the tumor post-puberty, then the condition is called acromegaly, and the patient grows outwards rather than upwards. Acromegaly affects 3 to 4 out of every million people each year.
What most individuals notice right away is that there's a characteristic facial appearance of individuals with acromegaly. The frontal bones become broadened and enlarged and more prominent. The nose enlarges. The facial features and skin coarsen. The jaw becomes more prominent. Another striking feature of acromegaly is the significant enlargement of the hands and feet. And you read descriptions that patients with acromegaly have spade-like hands and spade-like feet. The fingers and toes get thickened, and the palms and soles widen and get thickened as well.
Both acromegaly and acromegalic gigantism can result in severe disfigurement, serious disorders such as heart problems and strokes, and premature death if untreated. Doctors in the Ukraine were unable to perform a much-needed operation to remove Igor's brain tumor, meaning he continued to grow. So when he was 7 and already standing at 6 feet tall, Igor and his mum moved to America, where doctors were able to carry out the operation.
Surgery saved his life, but he still was growing after surgery for many more years. None of us expected that. I always thought that after surgery he will stop growing, but his brain was already affected by tumor and still was producing growth hormone.
Igor eventually stopped growing when he was 20 years old. But not until he'd hit an amazing 7 feet 8 inches, making him one of the tallest men in the world.
Gigantism has affected me that I no longer feel that I fit into any part of society, and that's the feeling that I've had ever since I went into middle school and high school.
Igor has recently enrolled at college to continue his education, which has been badly disrupted by his condition. He's studying to become a lawyer and attends 5 classes a week.
I'm used to always sitting in the small chairs and sitting at the small tables, and it's uncomfortable, but I don't want to make an extra fuss about it. So I'm used to bending over and sitting in the little chairs and writing at the little desks.
Igor's school life has not always run smoothly.
High school was a terrible experience. All 4 years of high school were just incredibly harsh. I never had anybody to talk to during school or after school. I never sat with anybody at lunch. High school was just 4 miserable years because I was just standing out of the crowd that didn't fit into any group, any social group. I felt like I was a nuisance to everybody in school.
Despite his difficult experience during high school, the medical help Igor has received drives his desire to be a lawyer.
A lot of people have helped us over these years that we've lived here, and I feel that more people should have the opportunity to receive the help that I did.
Although his height means he struggles to be accepted in his everyday life, as we'll see, Igor does make a big impression at the very highest level.
I just want to make some special acknowledgments. The biggest Obama fan in the country is in the house.
Tanya Angus was a beautiful young girl. She loved horse riding, swimming, and dancing.
When I was younger, I did a lot of just normal kid stuff, and I had a ball. I remember being little like it was yesterday.
With good looks and an outgoing personality, Tanya was always popular. But as she got older, she started to notice unexpected changes in her body.
My feet were getting bigger. I was outgrowing my mom's shirts. I knew something was wrong.
And there was good reason for Tanya's unease, because within a few short years, her body had changed beyond recognition, and her life had turned upside down.
This little girl that was so happy, so beautiful, had changed.
At 18, Tanya was 5 feet 8 and 10.5 stone. Now aged 31, she's 6 feet 8 and weighs nearly 32 stone. And she's still growing.
It's like I woke up one day and was Godzilla, or, you know, Andre the Giant.
Tanya was diagnosed with acromegaly at the age of 22. Her growth is caused by the same type of brain tumor that made Igor grow massively tall. But unlike Igor, Tanya continues to grow outwards and upwards, which doctors claim is incredibly rare for someone diagnosed with acromegaly post-puberty.
Tanya doesn't wear normal shoes. Tanya doesn't wear clothes right off the rack. There's not a standard thing about her.
This is a hugely important week for Tanya, as she's due to visit her doctor to discover whether a new treatment she's receiving is stopping her growth and potentially saving her life.
I've fought my way this far. I can fight my way even farther.
27-year-old Igor suffers from gigantism and stands at a massive 7 feet 8 inches. His height means that everyday things that other people take for granted become an issue for Igor, even his transport.
We bought the car almost new off the lot, and then we had to drop it off for about a month at a local chop shop, and they had to drop the floors in my car, make them about 6 inches lower.
While Igor's height means he's well known around town, it's had a detrimental effect on his personal relationships.
My social life has been affected drastically with my friends. I'm no longer able to go and do all the things they do. I have to usually stick to doing indoor things. Hi, can I please get an original bacon cheeseburger combo?
His social life is a really difficult issue for Igor. He never had many friends. Kids of his age, they cannot understand his problems, what he goes through, how painful for him, so he doesn't have many friends.
Because of his size, Igor's limbs have to endure excessive weight, making them incredibly painful. His condition also means that his internal organs grow, putting his heart and lungs under pressure. Because of this, he has to take daily medication.
Acromegaly has many symptoms. Growth hormone excess affects pretty much every organ system in the body adversely. Patients with acromegaly may develop enlargement of the heart and heart failure, and also hypertension.
To escape the limitations gigantism has imposed on him, Igor often turns to watching movies.
Yeah, I consider myself a little bit of a movie buff.
And he wouldn't say no to his own 15 minutes of fame.
I've thought about going into the movies, but the movies haven't thought about me. No one's ever called me.
Tanya Angus grew up in Henderson, a suburb of Las Vegas. She considered herself a normal young woman. But gradually she started to notice her body changing, and by the age of 22, she'd been diagnosed with acromegaly.
The usual reason people come to attention is because someone, either a significant other or friend, has noticed changes in their facial features, or the patient may have noticed increase in shoe size. You know, their shoes get tight, their rings get tight, they just don't fit anymore. The glove size changes, and their face features become coarse, and they just look different.
Now 31, Tanya has to cope with symptoms such as the lowering of her voice, disfigurement of her face, and her continual growth.
It's every day I have to deal with people looking and whispering, "Look how big her hands are. Look how big she is." It doesn't feel good.
One of the symptoms of her condition is the continued growth of the hands and feet. As a result, Tanya's rings no longer fit her fingers. Today, she's visiting a local jewelers who have taken on the task of enlarging her rings.
Now, it took a little time, and as you know, it's one of those things that we've got to go through with these. There's one.
Wow.
And there's two.
It fits. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. How much
They
is...
made this one for you.
That one's a special one from us to you.
Oh my gosh, you made this for me?
That's right.
Oh my gosh. You are the best.
Oh, here, I'll come around for you.
Okay.
We just figured, you had a little rough bump there, so maybe this will remind you to keep shining, all right?
Oh.
Tanya's enlarged hands mean that her new rings are twice the size of her old ones.
In the history of doing jewelry and sizing rings, which is about 18 years, I've never had to do one this large before. I've done professional athletes, including basketball players and wrestlers that don't have ring fingers that are this size.
I do.
You're so crazy.
While something as simple as rings may be taken for granted by most, for Tanya, they signify so much.
A girl does want to wear rings, even if she's not married. And I couldn't wear my rings, and nobody would make them that big.
It makes me very happy to see Tanya wearing rings because so many people in the world address her as sir. And when she has her hands out and they actually see their girly rings, they know she's a girl.
Well, today has given Tanya a massive boost. In less than a week, she'll be visiting her doctor for an appointment that could change her life forever.
Oh my gosh.
Whatever it takes, we are going to do.
Robert Wadlow is known as the Giant of Illinois. Born in 1918, he suffered from gigantism and at a mind-boggling 8 feet 11 inches is the tallest man in history. And Wadlow was still growing when he died because of his condition at the age of just 22. Like Robert Wadlow, Igor Vovkovinsky suffers from acromegaly gigantism and measures an incredible 7 feet 8 inches. Because of his height, Igor's house has had to be specially made to accommodate him.
Well, this house was built specially for me. We had to special order all of our doors. They don't come standard like this, and all of our doors are 8 feet high so that I don't have to bend down when I walk in. And the rest of the house is custom too. We have cathedral ceilings so that I never have to worry about hitting my head.
Igor spends a lot of his time playing computer games because they offer him a chance to escape the limitations of his height.
I can do all these things that I'll never be able to do in real life. Flying, driving fast cars and motorcycles and snowboarding, all those things I can't possibly do in real life, I can do on the computers.
Whilst being so tall comes with its problems, Igor's height has had its plus points.
Being tall was a benefit a few times, and that was when I used to play basketball when I was in grade school. All my teammates liked the fact that I could get all the rebounds and shoot the basketball.
And his size played an even more pivotal role in 2008 when he met the President of the United States.
I wanted to meet Barack Obama even before he became president, but after he became president, he came to the Minneapolis Target Center, and I met him after waiting in line for about 4 hours and waiting in the crowd, and it was just a pleasure getting to shake his hand, and that was just one of my dreams come true.
And when he met Barack Obama, Igor had a surprise that made him the talk of the town.
I just want to make some special acknowledgments. The biggest Obama fan in the country is in the house. Love this guy.
So that was all great.
Having undergone brain surgery at the age of 7, Igor finally stopped growing when he turned 20. But while the surgery saved Igor's life, gigantism continues to affect him massively, as his body will never shrink, putting pressure on his limbs, joints, and internal organs.
So nothing in this life will be easy for Igor, and he is really too big to feel comfortable in this life. But I do hope that he will have a happy life.
But despite the difficulties and pain that accompany his condition, Igor has finally accepted his colossal 7 feet 8 inch frame.
If I could choose not to be tall or to be tall, I think I wouldn't change it because it makes me who I am, and it makes me believe the things that I believe. And I think everyone was made the way they were made for a reason, so I don't think I want to change anything.
Having been diagnosed with acromegaly aged 22, Tanya Angus underwent a number of surgeries on her brain tumour, but they were unsuccessful and still she continues to grow. As a result, Tanya and her doctors have focused on trying to find a new drug regime that is capable of combating her growth hormone.
There's about 30 pills here, and I have to take about each one every day, sometimes 2, 3, 4 times a day.
A healthy person's growth hormone level is between 50 and 250. Tanya's has been as high as 4,000 and has never dropped below 1,000.
Tanya's condition is perhaps more striking because of her duration of illness and the substantially elevated growth hormone levels in her case, which are high even for a patient with acromegaly. And that's because Tanya had a very large tumor at initial presentation, and then it didn't fully respond to attempts at surgery and radiation therapy.
Right now, with the growth hormone, with it being high, she deteriorates. Her organs grow, everything grows.
As well as taking a cocktail of pills, Tanya has to have daily injections in her stomach to combat her high growth hormone levels.
Ready, Tanya? 1, 2, 3. This burns like a hot poker.
Plus, once a month, she's injected with the maximum permitted dose of a very strong drug.
This medication is like petroleum jelly. It is very, very thick. It comes with a 20-gauge needle. To say the least, it leaves a big hole in her skin. This is the difference. The medication is like jelly.
Despite this being a traumatic experience for Tanya, she has agreed to allow us to film the procedure, which is performed by her sister and her mum, a trained nurse.
Go ahead. Stop. 1, 2, 3.
Oh.
As you see, it's bending.
Okay. Want me to hold your other hand?
Okay, it's coming out.
Whilst this is very painful for Tanya, the fact that her body is under so much pressure because of her growth means that she's in agony every day, especially her back, which is collapsing because of her weight.
I think I was born to live through pain. You get asked so many times in the hospital, what's your pain level? How much pain are you in? You wouldn't know. You have no idea.
Tanya hopes that this drug regime will reduce her growth hormone and stop her growing. But even if that happens, her body will stay the same size.
Unfortunately, most of Tanya's pathology is permanent. Many of the joint problems that Tanya experiences are permanent. Her vertical stature, what we call her acral growth or her growth in width, and her arthritis and osteoporosis and pathologies that limit her mobility are unlikely to improve.
But doctors continue to work to bring Tanya's growth hormone levels under control, because if they can't, her future is clouded in uncertainty.
It doesn't bother me to talk about dying young. I know I have a very limited lifespan. They said 30. I'm 31. You know, now they've said 40. We'll see.
Did you want to have children?
I did. Yeah, I did want to have children. Unfortunately, I can't do that. I have so many cysts around my ovaries, and if I got married, I mean, and that was a big if, because I can't see any man wanting to marry me.
"52-year-old Mary White lives with her husband Ed in the small town of Coffee, Georgia. Mary was recently diagnosed with acromegaly.
Mary's a classic case of acromegaly. She has pretty much all the issues, the changes in physical appearance, the problems with blood sugar control, diabetes.
Mary suffers from the same condition as Igor and Tanya. But because she became ill after she'd been through puberty, meaning her growth plates were closed, Mary's growth is different. Instead of growing very tall, she has found that her face, hands and feet have grown.
My jawline is growing. My teeth are separating. My bottom lip's growing. My nose, a little rounder. My tongue is growing. It's actually getting thicker. My voice is getting deeper.
Having been diagnosed 2 months ago, Mary is scheduled to have the brain tumour that is causing her growth removed in 2 days' time.
I feel pretty good about the outcome, the physical outcome. I'm going to be a different person. I'm going to be normal, or as close to normal as I can get.
Do you not feel normal at the moment then, Mary?
No, absolutely not. As a matter of fact, one of my doctors even told me they could have passed me on the street and told that I had this disease. So it kind of puts it all in a different eye for me, that people can look at me and see things that are not normal.
Mary and Ed will soon be making the 5-hour journey to a hospital in Atlanta.
I'm scared.
Of course, I am nervous. It's my wife that's having this surgery, and I plan on being with my wife for the rest of my life. This surgery could change a lot of things either way. So yes, I'm nervous.
In 48 hours' time, Mary will undergo what she hopes will be life-changing surgery. Since being diagnosed with acromegaly 9 years ago, Tanya Angus's life has turned upside down. Today, Tanya's travelled into Las Vegas to pick up something that most people take for granted.
And we would leave with
a pair of shoes.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Look at that.
Before she became ill, Tanya wore a size 8 shoe. But because she's grown so much, she now wears a size 15, and it's impossible for her to find women's shoes that fit. As a result, she has to wear a pair of men's sandals, and even they're incredibly uncomfortable for her. These shoes have been specially designed and made for Tanya by a local shoemaker.
I love them. I want to go out. I want to go party.
Whilst for most people, buying shoes is a simple day-to-day exercise, Tanya's new pair means so much.
I love having the shoes. It's like, almost like I'm Cinderella.
And this is just another small boost that will make a massive difference to her quality of life.
It feels unbelievable. It really does. It's something that I never would have imagined. I mean, I thought that was a part of my past.
I'm so happy.
Later that day, Tanya and her mum are preparing to spend the afternoon being pampered as they have their nails done.
I'm gonna try to...
Got your phone?
And for Tanya, it's important to do things that any 31-year-old woman would enjoy doing.
All right, well.
It's important because it makes me forget about my tumor, and it's no good sitting around the house just thinking about it.
Because of her size, for Tanya, something as simple as a manicure-pedicure is an uncommon occurrence.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah, it feels good. I feel special right now.
Very pretty.
You like them, I do.
The kind of attention that Tanya has received today helps her forget about her medical problems, at least for a while.
The size part, you never can drop, even when you're having a good day. But it takes the medical part away. You know, I'm not seeing any doctors today. I'm not dealing with the injections, you know, it's just a laugh and have fun day.
Forgetting all about her medical problems is great news, but in 2 days' time, Tanya will be visiting her doctor, where she's hoping for even better news about the fight against her continuing growth.
This disease could kill Tanya.
Georgia is home to one of America's most prestigious hospitals, the Emory Clinic. Mary White has recently discovered that she has acromegaly, a condition caused by a tumor on the pituitary gland inside her brain.
Those words, brain tumor, would just drop your jaw. And that's the way I felt when I heard those words. There's a tumor in your brain, that automatically you think your life is over.
Whilst not cancerous, this tumour produces an excess of growth hormone. That means parts of Mary's body, such as her lips, skull and hands, have started to grow. Men and women are equally likely to be affected by acromegaly, and the average age of diagnosis is 42.
I have not felt normal in my life in so long.
Having recently been diagnosed at the age of 52, Mary is a good example of how acromegaly can affect anyone at any time.
To the best of our knowledge, nobody's protected from developing acromegaly. The majority of patients develop it sporadically. In other words, they literally just wake up and they have the condition.
Now Mary's scheduled to undergo surgery that will hopefully stop her body's growth and change her life forever.
For me personally, I hope that it gives me some sort of normalcy to my life. The peace of mind of knowing that the years that would have been taken away from me have been given back.
Dr. Nelson Oisiku has performed over 1,400 operations on pituitary tumours. But still, there are risks with any operation inside the brain.
The risk of surgery in this type of operation include the risk of infection. And on either side of the pituitary gland lies an artery called the carotid artery. It supplies your brain with blood. And if you put your finger on your neck, you can feel the pulse of your carotid artery. So the surgeon operating in this area has to be exceedingly careful to make sure that he doesn't perturb the carotid artery because of the risk of bleeding or the risk of stroke.
The carotid artery supplies the brain with blood. Disrupting this artery could have catastrophic consequences. Later that evening, Mary is spending her last night before the operation with her husband Ed. Having heard how delicate the procedure is, she's fully aware of the risks.
And I still worry about the things that could go wrong. Anytime you're inside somebody's head and messing around with their brain, a lot of things could go wrong. So it's only natural to worry about that. But I'm not going to let it stop me from doing what I know I need to do.
In a few short hours, Mary will undergo the operation that she and Ed hope will mark the beginning of a new life. It's the morning of Mary's operation. The time has finally come for the tumor to be removed from her brain.
This is very important. I want to be with her, until, forever. And with this disease, there's a possibility that she wouldn't have but a few more years, maybe 6. And I want our life together to be longer than that.
Doctors will remove Mary's tumor through her nose using a technique called endonasal transphonoidal neurosurgery. Her operation will be carried out by a team of surgeons led by Dr. Nelson Oisiku, who is world-renowned in his field.
What we do is we go through the nasal passages into the sphenoid sinus, which leads you to the back of the pituitary gland. And we do that using an instrument called an endoscope. And an endoscope is a tube that's about that long that has light going through it, and a lens that obviously allows you to see the field that you're working in.
As Mary's wheeled into surgery, her emotions are running high.
The thought of having an operation scares me. It always has. If I said it didn't, I'd be lying. You try to put on a brave front, but you can't not visualize or think about somebody going up inside your head and removing something and not be afraid.
You want to try lifting?
Mary's head has to be clamped in place because there's no room for error. As well as avoiding damage to the carotid artery, the surgeons also have to be very careful with Mary's optic nerve, which is situated just millimeters from the pituitary gland, and damaging it could leave Mary with impaired sight. Despite these risks, Mary is hopeful that the surgery will reverse many of her symptoms.
I know I have changed so much. I fought it for so long, but I know I'm not the same person. But I have hopes that I will be.
Most of the soft tissue changes we see in patients, once they go into remission and they stay in remission, you can actually see those reverse. The things that we have the most problems with reversing are things like bony structure, because those are hard and fast, if you will.
Two hours in, and the doctors have located the tumor. It's now a matter of cutting the growth away without leaving any damage. One slip could cause catastrophic results.
Cotton ball, please. Second specimen, permanent adenoma.
Finally, the tumor is removed. With Dr. Oisiku taking extra care to avoid the carotid artery and optic nerve.
That's an growth hormone adenoma. See how white it looks?
Very.
Yeah, very white.
The tumor measures about 1 centimeter across. Ironic that something so small can loom so large in someone's life.
Typically very whitish looking, creamy white.
After 3 hours, the procedure is over and the operation has gone well. But it will be 12 weeks before doctors can carry out tests that will prove conclusively whether they've brought Mary's growth hormone levels under control.
Hi there, Miss White.
It's the day after the operation, and Mary is awake, if a little groggy. Dr. Oisiku is visiting to explain how the operation went.
Everything went just as planned. We didn't have any problems whatsoever. We found the tumor, just like predicted, and we didn't run into any problems with the carotid artery or bleeding. So hopefully just a couple of days in the hospital.
While the procedure went well, conclusive proof of success will be available with the results from Mary's growth hormone test in 12 weeks' time.
If those are good, then there's a very good chance that you will stay cured for the long haul.
My whole family, my children and my grandchildren, my husband, they want their mama back. They want their Mary back. They want the same person on the outside that they know is on the inside. And they haven't had that in a while.
And for now, the future is already looking brighter for Mary, as Dr. Hoisiku is confident that the reversal of her physical changes is already underway.
You will notice your features will get softer. Actually, I can also see already that they're getting softer. It's hard to tell for someone who's not used to seeing it, but once you've seen the changes in acromegaly, it's not too difficult to even discern very subtle changes at a very early stage.
I have nothing to do but smile and look forward to the future. I know things are going to be better. I know they are.
The early signs are that Mary's operation has been a success, and she should reap the benefits. Years ago, Tanya Angus underwent exactly the same operation that Mary has just had. But unfortunately, doctors were unable to remove all of her tumour, meaning she continues to grow. Tonight, Tanya's putting her medical worries behind her and hitting the highlight of her hometown, the casino. This is a chance for Tanya to get away from everything and just have a good time with her sister and her mum, who plays a huge role in her life.
She's my rock. She is my rock. If I hit the $1 million thing, I'd share it with my mom.
Since being diagnosed age 22, Tanya has grown over a foot and gained more than 21 stone. But her weight gain has nothing to do with her eating habits.
I have a very small appetite. I never feel like eating. I mean, my mom or my sister has to remind me, did you eat today?
It's Tanya's growth hormone that's responsible for her increased weight. And tomorrow she's visiting her doctor to get the results of her latest growth hormone test.
If we could get her growth hormone level to be under 1,000, her growth would slow down substantially. Her body would somewhat adjust and not hopefully be as difficult and a challenge.
Later that evening, Tanya is preparing to go to bed. One of the symptoms of acromegaly is sleep apnea, because patients' tongues often grow so large they block their airways, which stops them from breathing. As a result, Tanya has to sleep with a machine called a CPAP to help her breathe at night. As she goes to sleep, she's hoping that the morning brings some much-needed good news. The following day, Tanya's meeting Dr. Michael Jacoby to discover if her drug regime is slowing her growth. There's a lot resting on the consultation.
This disease could kill Tanya.
Karen is hoping her daughter's growth hormone level drops, as they've been informed that this would slow her growth considerably and could increase her life expectancy.
We're hoping and praying that it goes lower. If it goes higher, it will be very bad news.
Good afternoon. Good to see you again. How are you feeling? I've got the results of your insulin-like growth factor type 1, your IGF-1 testing, and I've got good news. When I first started seeing you, your values were consistently over 1,000 and sometimes over 2,000, and this most recent value came back at just a little bit over 600. That was 644.
Oh my gosh.
So I was quite pleased to see that it's fallen by more than twofold. So I'm really happy for you, and hopefully that'll translate into you, feeling better here in the future.
That's the best ever.
Oh my gosh.
April 25th, 2002. It's never been that low.
Yeah, well, that's great. Like I said,
So that new drug you introduced her to is working.
Yeah, no, it's working quite well. So like I said, I was really happy to see how well you'd responded. And the nice thing is, I think we have more room for improvement, too.
With the new drug regime seemingly offering hope, Tanya's future is now more positive than ever before.
This is like the best Christmas present we could ever have. Because this is the first time since Tanya has been diagnosed that it has been under 1,000. And that means that they're gaining control. And we've never had control of it.
Although still above healthy levels, now that her growth hormone has been reduced, Tanya's growth should decrease. And while she'll have to take the drugs for the rest of her life, her doctors feel that there's room for even more improvement.
It's so unbelievable. It's great. I mean, it makes me feel like I have a brand new lease on life. I'm gonna take those shots regularly. Heck, if I have to, I'll take them twice a month. I don't care about the pain.
Like Tanya, Mary recently received good news. 12 weeks after her surgery, she returned to Atlanta for tests. She has now been given the all clear. Igor continues to follow his dream of becoming a lawyer. Although his growth is under control, he has to take medication every day and is still learning to live with the limitations of his 7 feet, 8-inch frame. Tanya Angus has one of the most extreme cases of acromegaly that doctors have ever seen. But today's results offer renewed hope in her battle against this terrible condition.
I won't ever give up. I won't ever, because, like a good friend of mine told me, anything's possible.